Hello dear students, so we are moving on to another significant tense which we have to learn, which are the perfect continuous tenses. Perfect continuous tenses. We learned the simple tenses, we learned the continuous or progressive tenses, and then we learned the perfect tenses. Now we are moving on to perfect continuous tenses. So just like the other tenses that we learned, we have present perfect continuous or present perfect progressive, and past perfect continuous and future perfect continuous. So instead of continuous, you can always use the term progressive. So we'll begin with the very first one, present perfect continuous tense. Present perfect continuous tense. We'll see in what kind of a context do we use this present perfect continuous tense first. So to begin with, the present perfect continuous tense, also known as the present perfect progressive tense, shows that something started in the past and is continuing at the present time. So an action or an activity that started in the past and is continuing in the present time. So imagine that I am talking to you in the present. I can describe an action that started in the past and is continuing now using present perfect continuous tense. So maybe imagine that, okay, I have been feeling very unwell since yesterday. I have been feeling very unwell since yesterday. So I have been feeling it has been ongoing, and it is ongoing even now. So the child has been crying since morning. The child has been crying since morning, which means that the activity of crying had started at a particular point in the past and is still ongoing in the present. So to refer to these kinds of activities, you can use the present perfect continuous tense. The children have been playing since 4 o'clock. The children have been playing since 4 o'clock. So they started playing at a particular point in the past, and the activity of playing continues even in the present. That's what it means. I have been traveling since morning. I have been traveling since morning. So the activity of traveling started in the morning, and it's continuing even now in the present, which indicates that this is a present perfect continuous tense. Understood? So we will delve into the sentence structure for this tense, which is subject plus has or have been plus the present participle form of the verb, which is the root form plus ing, is called the present participle form of the verb. Write plus ing, writing. Run plus ing, running. So this is the present participle form of the verb, or the ing form of the verb. To make it easier to remember, we will use the ing form of the verb. So the structure of the sentence would be subject plus has or have plus has or have been plus the ing form of the verb. So try to construct some sentences in this format. Subject, she, probably has been working there for 4 years. So most of the time when you refer to these kinds of actions that started at some point of time, some point in the past, and is continuing till the present, we mostly use these words like since and for. Since 1965, since morning. So since indicates a kind of starting point. Since yesterday, since Tuesday, since 2010. So it sort of indicates a starting point. And when do we use for? Probably I have been working there for 2 hours, or I have been working, or the baby has been crying for like half an hour. So it's for kind of indicates a time span. So if since indicates a kind of a starting point, for actually indicates a kind of time span. So that's the basic difference. So for and since would definitely be there, mostly in the perfect continuous tenses. So keep this in mind. So we'll think of some more examples for the present perfect continuous tense. Raju has been studying in that college for 2 years. So it's still ongoing. Raju is still studying there, and the teacher has been taking class for probably 45 minutes. So it's still ongoing. So that is present perfect continuous tense. We are moving on to the next one, which is past perfect continuous tense. So there is a slight difference. I forgot to mention something. Has and have. Don't forget. which it was something that I dealt with earlier, but still has and have, has with singular subjects and have with plural subjects. So she has been doing it for 4 hours. They have been doing it for 4 hours. Singular and plural difference. Keep that in mind also. Now moving on to past perfect continuous tense. Just like we learned in the case of perfect tenses, it's easier here because we just need to replace has or have with had. So why do we use past perfect? Imagine that an action started at some point in the past but also continued up to a point only. So in present perfect tense, if you're talking about an action which started at some point in the past and is continuing in the present, in past perfect continuous tense, we are talking about an event that started at some point in the past and continued till a particular point in the past itself. So I had been working there till last month. So it actually ended, but it continued for a particular period of time. So the past perfect continuous tense, also known as the past perfect progressive tense, shows that an action that started in the past continued up until another time in the past. So it continued, or it was ongoing till a particular time in the past itself. So the sentence construction would be subject plus had been plus the ing form of the verb. Subject plus had been plus the ing form of the verb. So she had been studying till yesterday. She had been studying till yesterday. So it stopped yesterday. Unlike in the case of present perfect continuous tense, it stopped yesterday, but it was an ongoing activity before that. So she had been studying till yesterday. Okay. They had been playing till 4 o'clock. So it was an ongoing activity, but it stopped at 4 o'clock. The baby had been crying, all this while. The baby had been crying all this while. So the crying has actually stopped. Understood? So this is as easy as that. We are moving on to the next one, which is future perfect continuous tense. So in what context do we use future perfect continuous? The future perfect continuous, also sometimes called a future perfect progressive, is a verb tense that describes actions, now pay attention, that will continue up until a point in the future. Actions that will continue up until a point in future. Mostly we would have to use this tense to become slightly nostalgic. That's you have seen probably like people who have been working in the same organization for a really long time at times saying probably next by this time next year I would have been working here for 30 years, or probably by the time you guys grow up I will have been doing this job for so many years. So this is like again a kind of a prediction that an activity would will be ongoing. It would have been ongoing and ended and perfected in future. So just think of some more examples. This is not something that we would have to like use like on an everyday scale, but these are the kinds of circumstances. Okay. In 2020, I will have been working here for 10 years, or maybe by tomorrow morning, I will have been working on this project for 2 days. So this is in future, an action will have been continuing up to a point. That's the kind of reference that is there. So the structure is again quite easy. Subject plus will have been plus the ing form of the verb. The subject plus will have been plus the ing form of the verb. Understood? She will have been working there for 4 years by next year, or Raju will have been a student of the college for almost 7 years in 2002. So something that will have been ongoing and would have continued till a particular point of time in future. So I hope this is clear. Now we'll combine some sentences in all these tenses to make it a bit more clear. I have been working there for 4 years. It's ongoing, which is in the present perfect tense. I had been working there till last year. So it was an ongoing activity, but it ended at some particular point in the past. I will have been working there for 10 years in 2002. So an activity would have been continuing up to a point in future. So this is the baby has been crying since morning. The baby had been crying since morning. The baby will have been crying since morning. The will have been crying. No, this is not a predictable thing as such. So probably we'll think of some other example. Tomorrow at this time, I will have been working on this project for probably like 2 months. So something like that. So in these kinds of situations, you can use future perfect continuous. Again, slightly complicated, I know, just stick on to these examples and the sentence structures which I'm telling you. I hope this is clear to you. So for the time being, I'll wind up. So we are actually concluding the 12 tenses, the simple tenses, and then the continuous tenses or progressive tenses, and then the perfect tenses, and now the perfect continuous or perfect progressive tenses. So if you think about it, we have actually learned a lot, but it's very probable that you already have forgotten some of these tenses, and at least some of you would have a lot of confusions regarding these tenses. I think we can have a Q&A session in the coming week to address all that, probably all your doubts regarding these tenses. But before that, we have to delve a bit more into these tenses. We have to think about how to make questions in different tenses, how to say negative statements in different tenses, how to make yes or no or WH questions. So we have to think about all that. So along with that, we need to address your doubts and confusions regarding tenses also. So I hope I have been clear till this part. So whatever doubts you have, you can post in the comment section in YouTube or in the Google Classroom itself. And if you want further live interaction, we'll be holding that in the coming week. So thank you for listening, guys. I hope you guys are doing fine. Take care.